Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome, welcome. It's me time. It's Adrienne Marks and it's the awesome Marina Nani. And we're here today to talk about doing what makes your heart sing and why you have to do it and what happens if you don't do it. So here we go. Yes, I hope you've been having a wonderful week. I hope that life is being good to you, and if it's not, what are you doing about it? And I think that's a good place to start, because are aware of what you want. When you take your me time and you really listen to your heart, and you know that what you're doing or what path you're on is the right thing to do, you feel comfortable, you feel happy. And sometimes what happens is, life gets in the way. It does, doesn't it? And, distractions happen and obstacles happen, and you get over them and you sort of keep moving forward. But the worst thing you can do is to get totally distracted, keep going for it, because maybe it's too difficult. Maybe, I don't know, I was talking to a client last night, and she's always had this desire. I mean, she's worked in Hong Kong, she's worked in France, speaks fluent French, and for a long time now, she's not been happy in her job, which is in London. Very, very unhappy, and all sorts of things going on in her life. And she had said to me, I really want to be back in France. I really want to be back there because it's beautiful. And several things have happened over the last couple of years to her. And we had this conversation last night, because there's now 2 possible jobs in the offing, both in France, both in Paris, and one awesome one in London that's another job. And we were talking about it last night, and she said, it's too much. It's not right for me anymore, is it? And I said, no, it's not. You had this idea that that's what you wanted to do, but stuff has happened. I said, but what you've got to remember, and now she really wants to go for this London job. So we were talking about it, and I said, what you've got to remember is that now, this moment, when we were talking last night, this is what you want. And Paris is too much of a struggle. She's got 2 sons, one of 12 and one of 11. You're going to have to uproot the boys. You're going to have to find a school for them. You've got to find a new house. In both sets of jobs, neither of them are going to relocate her. Neither of them are going to give her money for relocation. Both of them are less than what she's earning at the moment. And I said, the thing is that as an idea, it was great, but we're talking now and you're saying that's not what you want, because you love the idea of this job in London and it sounds wonderful, and you've only got 1 or maybe 2 more interviews to go, and the job is yours. I said, and I hope with all my heart this job. I said, but what you've got to remember is that if you don't get it, how you feel about Paris and about relocating at this moment is real. So if you don't get the job in London, you don't just take one of the Paris jobs because you want to go there. You don't do that. And she says, you're so right. And I said, I know. And it's very difficult, because Paris has been like this goal for her for like 2 years, or probably longer now. And it's very difficult. Sometimes we have this idea in our heads of what we want, and we don't listen to what's going on in our heart. We think it's the right thing for us, and so we push ahead with it, and then we get in a situation and we're not comfortable, and we think, oh, why did I do this? It's so wrong.
But Adrienne, you are talking from a place of knowing and feeling. How is that feeling for you right now, between boxes, ready to go, being like an 18 years old girl who is moving to another country? Tell us.
You know, that's the other side of the coin. This is something I've wanted to do, as you know, for a very, very long time. And it's something that has, and it's very, very exciting. But as I said to you, I'm sitting here with boxes and black bags, and this afternoon had a total meltdown. Not that I didn't want to go and didn't want to do it, but it's just like, enough already. I want to be there. I want to be sorted and settled and all the rest of it. And I've only got another 2 weeks to go. But it's this frustration for me, because it is such a dream, such a goal. And I was on the tube this morning, and I got out at Bank Station. And where I get out, there are lifts to take you up to the main floor, and then you have to get stairs to get out onto the road, the pavement, the wherever you're going. And it's a huge station if you don't know it. And I was standing there, and there were lots and lots and lots of people. And I started looking at the indicator, the board indicator. And so I was waiting for this particular. There were 4 lifts working. And I was waiting for this particular one to come down. And the light was like up there. And I thought, well, it's going to come down in a minute. So I stood there, and there were all these people, and they were pushing and shoving, and they were all going into all these other places. So I'm standing there waiting for number 2 to come down. And it gets stuck, totally gets stuck. And then other ones start coming down. And so I think, well, I'm not going to wait here forever. So I move, and I go on and wait for another one. And I thought to myself, God, I'm so glad I'm not going to be doing this for much longer. It's so miserable. And that's before you've even got out. This is like, I don't know what the time was, but you think, really started my day? This is crazy. And all these people are like feeling so grey, and you look out the window and it's grey. And it's not the way life's meant to be. It really isn't.
But Adrienne, don't you think that each one of us is a migrant? So it doesn't matter you are moving from a small city to a big, from a small village to a big city, or from a small country to a big country, or from a big country to a small country. It's always that feeling that it is not right to settle for less. This is what migrant women are doing and being and feeling, is that, it's not your place to settle right now. There is a lot more for you. And everything that's happening to you is because you deserve what's coming your way. And yes, it's painful, and yes, it's frustrating. And I know so well how tremendously traumatic moving houses, let alone moving country like you do. Yeah. But thinking about the sunny Spain and all the friends you are going to have there, all the happy faces and the wine sharing and the storytelling. So
and the beach and the sunshine. Yeah. But you're right. It's because we don't want to settle for less, and that's what it's about. That's what listening to your heart is all about, and being true to what you want. And that's why it's so important to be who you know you are inside. And I think that is the most precious thing. Once you get it, once you know, then, as you say, there's no stopping you. You won't settle for less. You won't settle for less in a relationship. You won't settle for less in your work. You won't settle for less in your home life. Yes, there is, because you deserve it, because you are this awesome, amazing, wonderful person. And until you get that, until you realize the potential that you have inside, until you get that you really are amazing and you're not reliant on other people's approval or disapproval, it really doesn't matter what other people think.
Adrienne, honestly, how many people told you off when you said, I'm moving to sunny Spain. I said, oh my God, she lost it. And if you were to listen to them, are they living your life? Are they there with you when the day gets dark and it's cold, or when it's morning and it's freezing cold, and you won't send your dog outside, let alone take yourself outside? So to me, it's all about being honest with yourself and not being afraid of what other people think. And it's also the experience, because you've been traveling the world, so you've been places, you imagine yourself in that particular place where you are moving to already. So everything happens twice, first in your mind and then in real life. But if it wasn't for you to imagine that place, it would never happen. And I think experience is more important than what you know, who knows you. All that doesn't matter. What is important really is how you feel inside, how you feel when you control your decisions, you control your life, you make or break. If anything goes wrong, you've done it to yourself. And that's even for a greater reason that you are going to find out later. At least in my life, each time I made the wrong moves, they were actually the best moves. And even at the time, I thought, oh my God, I'm such an idiot, or oh my God, what is this happening to me? I realized that was the grace is happening for me. And I'm so grateful for all the sandpaper people, all the bad traumatic experiences that I went through, because they were taking me where I am right now.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And because of those experiences, you are who you are now. If you didn't have those experiences, if life was smooth and everything was just handed to you on a plate, you'd never get this character, this strength to go when everything's against you. I've had all sorts of situations in my life where I've thought, I want to give up, and then I thought, no, I can't, because in the end, there's too much inside me that wants. I've always known that there was more to life. I've always known that, and sometimes to the detriment of myself, my relationships, because people don't like to hear that. If you're in a relationship or you're with people, and you say there is more to life than this, let's go for it. And if you're with people who like being in their comfort zone, then it's a problem. You do one of two things: you either leave them and go on your journey, or you stay. And for a long while I stayed, because I thought that was the thing to do, that was, quotes, the right thing to do. But it's not, because I wasn't making anybody happy. I wasn't happy myself. Resented the person, and so that wasn't a good idea. And then one day I said, you know what, I can't do this anymore. I've got to get out there and do what I want. And I think that it takes a very special kind of, I don't know if it's bravery, stupidity, or just sheer determination that life is too short not to do what makes your heart sing. How can you spend your life? I got to a stage where I thought, I don't want to spend another winter in the UK, because already the weather's starting to depress me. The grey and the dark mornings and the dark evenings and blah, 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 so I was having a conversation with somebody the other day, and they said, it really affects you that badly? I said, yeah, it does. I'm not making it up, not being a drama queen. It actually affects me that much. And just the thought of where I'm going to be. And, when I get over there, it's not going to be boiling hot. I was there in September, and the weather was beautiful, but it's going to be cooler. But I tell you what, there's going to be open spaces. There's going to be an awesome beach that I can walk along. There's going to be fresh food and fresh fruit and vegetables, and it's going to be, for me, it's going to be amazing. Absolutely incredible.
So, Adrienne, you are living the dream. And I know you are still between boxes and black boxes.
Yeah, for 2 weeks I'm going to be not living the dream.
Yes, so you are living the dream already, because already happened in your mind. And for you and for me, of course, and this is why I adore you. You for me, you are who I want to become. Because life is given to you. But what you make with your life is what you build in your life. This is what makes you feel one way or the other. And I don't think there are middle grounds, because once you settle, you're dead. It's like putting an end to everything. And being afraid of new experiences, being afraid of new people, being afraid of new culture, of new foods, new everything, is as if you are closing the door to your own heart. You are closing that door, and once you close it, it will never open again.
Exactly. Even new language. You know, I've got to learn Spanish. I only know a very, very little. But even that's not daunting me. For me, it's all an adventure. And I'm just really excited to be doing it. And I have to say that some of my clearing up, I've got lots of papers and things that have been here for, like, you know, for so long, and just getting actually down to it, sitting on the floor and getting rid of all these papers and rubbish. It's cleansing. It is really, it's amazing. It's very cathartic. It makes you feel free. If I could just literally pack a toothbrush and go, that I would, but I can't do that. I have to sort of get rid of furniture, do all sorts of things. But I was, I have a bed with 4 drawers. I've told so many people this story. 4 drawers. The 2 at the front, I sort of knew what was in them. The 2 at the back, I never opened, because I've got bedside tables either side of the bed. Whoever looks in the drawers, right? So the other day, I went to, I pulled out the bedside tables and opened the drawers. Marina, there was bed linen and throws and all sorts of stuff in there that I hadn't seen since the day I moved in 4 years ago. 4 years, this stuff has been in a drawer. What for? You know, so it's all going to go to the charity shop, and, you know, but it's like, isn't it crazy, the stuff we accumulate? And as I say, I hadn't seen it for 4 years.
I was sharing this with you, remember, when I got all my stuff back from the storage, because I've been traveling around the world. So I had very little with me. I was living in a suitcase, and I got used to that. And I am a hopeless romantic. You know, I love to look at the postcards or birthday cards for my children, or, you know, that little stuff, you know, that you can't really carry with you because it's so much. And yet, when I brought all the boxes from the storage, I started thinking, oh my God, I thought I gave away everything, or almost everything, and it's still too much. I got used to very little, you know. I don't know, I changed. I become this person that doesn't need much. And for the awards, for example, I had a beautiful dress, but I couldn't remember what box will you know, be the treasure. So I thought, I'm not going to go to all of that. And so the night before the awards, I went to a shop just before they were closing. I said, do you have a blue dress, long sleeves, on my size? And she said, yes. So I didn't even try it on, and she was so shocked.
Wow.
She said she's been working for John Lewis for all her life, but she's never got a customer buying something before try it on, let alone a woman. So you see, it just happened that was the right thing, but could have been a disaster, you know. But
And
think
it looks gorgeous.
I just said that it's not relevant. What is important is the people I'm going to be with, those people who mean so much to me, and my whole life revolves around them and their success, and and the experiences I want to drag them on, because it's so little recognition for people like ourselves, people who work hard all their life, and they take nothing with them. They leave a lot behind, but nothing is done for them to celebrate them, to celebrate their awesomeness and how amazingly beautifully, redefined they are, after they've been through what they've been through. And I'm thinking, everything that matters to me is to drag everyone on a red carpet event to have that experience, because nobody can take it away from you. You see, once you're there, you feel celebrated, and you are with not like-minded, like-hearted and soul-hearted people, then you know it was worth it. Whatever you've been through, it was worth it. So
exactly. Yes. Yeah, and just, yes, you're absolutely right. And this is all stuff. And I can go somewhere else and accumulate more stuff. And it's just stuff, and it doesn't actually mean anything. It's not important. The fact that I could put stuff away for 4 years and not even miss it, it's quite interesting, really interesting, I am so looking forward to a different, totally different lifestyle. I'm going to be going to a beautiful place, but it's a very small, fairly Spanish. There are some expats there, but not very many in the greater scheme of things. And it's going to be very quiet. I live in London, as you know, and it's not, and the shops and people and traffic and, noise and everything. And this is going to be totally different. And I'm so excited about it. So excited. I figure, it's either going to kill or cure me. I'm either going to love it. I really, this afternoon, I was out and I was just walking along my main high road in North London, and I was walking along and there was masses and masses of traffic, and I was just thinking, am I going to miss this? And I was looking around and I thought, no, not really. I don't think I am, because I'm at a stage now where I want some peace. This has never been, this is so un-me. All my life I wanted to be living in the centre, as near to the centre of London as possible, and with stuff going on. And in fact, a few weeks ago, about 3 weeks ago, I met a friend of mine on the South Bank for lunch, and we had lovely lunch. It was really nice. And then she said to me, do you fancy going somewhere for tea and cake? And I said, oh, that'd be lovely. So we started walking, and then as we walked round where the Royal Festival Hall is, there was the canteen. So she said to me, oh, we could go into the canteen. So I said, okay, I'd not been in there before. So we go in. It's a very nice, it was a very modern, sort of minimalist sort of place. And we go in, and she says to the guy, can we get tea and cake? And he says, yes. So we go in, and there's like hardly anybody. I think there was nobody in there, or maybe one couple or something. But it's very dark. And this is like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, that's all. And it's very dark in there, and they're playing loud music. And she goes to put her bag down, and I said, don't bother. And she said, why? And I said, we're not stopping. I said, it's too much, it's too dark, it's too noisy, I can't bear it. And she went, okay. And she said, it really did get to you, didn't it? I said, yeah, it really has. I said, I had a week there, and I came back, and I can't bear, crowds and noise, and I just can't I can't wait to get away from it, Marina. I really can't. And it's incredible. It's obviously what my heart needs at the moment. It really is. And that's why, it's so important to do stuff that makes your heart sing, that makes you happy. Because if you're in an environment that you're not happy with, that affects everything, you know, and it can certainly can affect your health. You can get really stressed. And stress, as we know, is a killer. Stress brings on all sorts of diseases, even cancer. And it's just awful. It affects your life. It affects relationships. If you're stressed out, you know, if you're scrabbling along on this, what do they call it, the hamster wheel, and you know, you're getting up and it's dark and you're going off to work and trying to make some money, trying to get your life together, you know, and you're living paycheck to paycheck. Money comes in and it goes straight out again for bills and all sorts of stuff, and there's no quality of life.
So that's the point where you start asking yourself, is this all there is to it? And you said it, you need to remove yourself from the outside noise, because you are a thinker, you are a philosopher, you are a writer, you are you know, you are the listener's choice. Everybody wants to listen to you. So it's all to do with what you're designed to be. And I'm saying this with a very open mind, because, for example, I'll give you this is a very strict example of what happened to me. So I love my me time. I'm always on air. I can't take calls because I always I'm involved in some sort of show or recording my audiobooks or whatever it is. I'm always with my headset on. So I can't take calls. I can't stop everything just to take a random call, which could be a sales call. Anyway, but the fact is that where I am, there is no reception. I have to go outside. I mean, like, really outside, you know, to make a phone call, even to make a phone call. So it's as if the universe or the energy that makes us who we are is protecting me, because I have works to deliver. And my works means I have to have quiet time, I have to have me time, I have to think, I have to write, I have to listen. And if, for example, I won't have a place where the phone doesn't function, the reaction will be to take calls, right?
Yeah, absolutely, and get interrupted.
And you see, I focus, and I don't think anything can move my focus. But it's just amazing how things are, or the universe is conspiring with you for you to deliver what you meant to deliver, what you are designed to deliver. So I think that place where you are going, you are not going to miss any London. And I think if you get bored or you want to speak more, and because you love speaking, you could always have a daily show instead of a weekly one.
You know, that's the thing, isn't it, Marina? There's, you know, there is internet. I can always get online and talk to people. It's like, you know, I'm not going to be alone, but I am going to have lots of me time. And I think that, you know, for me at the moment, it's really, really important. So I can be able to function the way I really want to function. And that will give me the space that I need. And I think that, you know, it doesn't, stuff like this doesn't happen overnight. You don't suddenly wake up one morning and go, right, I'm going off. It happens gradually, but you have to be very aware. And the only way you can do that, as I keep saying, is you've got to stop and breathe and listen to your heart. And, you know, like I said to my client last night, this is the situation. This is what you really want. So you've got to decide, you know, and if that doesn't happen, then it's not meant to be. You know, I've got this great thing about, you know, if things happen, then they're meant to be. Because she said to me, so why does this thing about Paris keep coming up? And I said, because that's what you've been focusing on. You've been talking about Paris for ages. And so the universe is bringing you stuff, but it's not right. And you know it's not right. And that's the interesting thing. She's become very, very aware of what really, you know, makes her tick, makes her heart sing. And she knows that this isn't right for her now.
So in other words, she settled for less than she deserves. And now
absolutely,
she's
yes,
getting even less than she settled for.
exactly. And now she knows that it's not what she wants, and that's the important thing. So she's stopped herself making, you know, some disastrous decisions, disastrous mistakes. And I think that's what happens. People get so focused on a goal that they had 5 years ago, 10 years ago, whatever, and they don't stop and think, well, who am I now? What do I really want now? I mean, when somebody mentioned Spain to me 18 months ago, I just went, I don't know, I don't want, well, no. I mean, Spain was the last place I wanted to go to. But over the last almost year, really, various things have happened, as you know, that have come into my life that have made me realize that there is a place in Spain that is just perfect for me at the moment. Who knows, in 6 months' time I might want to go somewhere else, but you know,
I want to move to Italy because I never seen you happier than you've been in Italy, in Rome. But we'll see.
Really? Bella Roma. My Italian's better than my Spanish. But you know, in 6 months' time, I think my Spanish will be better than my Italian. But who knows? I mean, you know, there's a big world out there, and I want to, you know, discover it. I might love the Mar Minore. I might decide to stay there more time. Murcia is a beautiful area. It's absolutely fantastic. So I'm looking forward to exploring it, because obviously I was only there for a week, so I haven't seen much. So I'm going to explore it and find things, and you know, it's just going to be an adventure, and it's very, very, very exciting. But I'll tell you something. I've had a lot of people say to me, people that I didn't expect say to me, I think it's wonderful what you're doing. I wish I was that brave.
Wow, so you already inspired half of the population of London. They all want to stay.
That's really interesting. Somebody I was talking to the other day, I would never ever have dreamt. He said to me, I mean, he's quite youngish, and he's got a son of 18 months, something like that, and they've got another one on the way, due January, February. And he said to me, I tell you what, if it wasn't for the fact that his wife is very close emotionally to her family, who live down on the south coast, he said, I would pick them up and we would move somewhere to like Spain, where the air is good for kids, and you know, where it's good for them to play in the street, and where they can have some fun. You know, because it's a better lifestyle out there for everybody. It's interesting, really. And he was, as I say, the last person in the world that I would have expected to say something like that. So people have dreams, and I think what happens is they get, and you know, one of the things I learned a long time ago was that somebody said to me, you know, when I was talking about doing something, and they said, what's the worst case scenario? And that's it. If you think of the worst case scenario, what's the worst thing that can happen to me? I'll be very unhappy, and I'll come back. Personally, I don't think that's going to happen.
But just to put your mind at rest, I remember that this is a Spanish author, Federico Garcia Lorca. You must have heard of him. Anyway, so he said that in Spain, even dead people are more alive than the dead of any other country in the world. So there you go.
I love it. I have to remember that. I'll start quoting it at people. Even the dead people are more alive than
the dead of any other country in the world.
Oh, I love it. I'm going to start saying that.
It's absolutely true. So earlier we had a show with with Veronica Sosa, and
Uh-huh.
she's from Venezuela. She lives in Belgium. Anyway, so she's the migrant woman host, and she got this energy about herself. She everything. I think is a way. There is a Spanish way of life, and it's impossible not to adore her. And she brings that into London, wherever she goes, and everybody thinks, "Oh, I wish I could speak Spanish," because it's contagious. Is so much vibrancy in even when somebody is sad in Spain, they're still vibrant, and there is a sense of gratitude and happiness and humility coming out from within. So how can you be unhappy in such a such a habitat? You know, it's out of the question. But I'm sure it's going to be a great experience. I can't wait to listen to your stories and tell us more. And soon enough, a lot of people will be moving there. So.
Yeah, and there's going to be lots of other things happening as well while I'm there, as you know, which we have to talk about. So yes, there's going to be some awesome things, not just for me, but for people I'm going to meet out there, people I'm going to bring out there. There's lots of exciting things sort of bubbling away under the surface once I'm all settled in, and then we can start talking about, yeah, me time days, me time weekends, and spas and all sorts of good stuff. It's going to be amazing. It really is.
I'm really, I really believe that you have to be everywhere, Adrienne. You have to take your spirit and drop it in everybody's house, so they start looking at life with a fresh pair of eyes. Wow, very excited for you. I can't wait for us to launch, finally launch The Simple Truth About Me Time. Great conversation with Adrienne Marks, and it's going to be at BAFTA in London. So a few hundred people will be there. You'll be autographing your book. So yes, make no other plans for Christmas. Join us on the red carpet, meet the fabulous Adrienne Marks, and get contaminated with me time.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's been lovely talking to you, Marina, as always.
Adrienne, thank you for such an amazing journey so far. And I really don't know what's next. I only know that we travel far. From both of us, until next time, have some loads of me time.
Me time, definitely, me time. And adios.
Goodbye.
Lots of love. Bye.